Russia, China, fighting in the power grid is something that is in the forefront of what they do. Okay. And they have abilities to do it at different levels. So what they're doing, they'll take down the power grid for 2 or 3 days, let them rebuild it, take it down again. But at this point, Ukraine is really, they're hurting. They're rolling blackouts. I have a close friend of mine. His son's over in Ukraine with the ministry organization, and he's dealing with the power outages and the rolling blackouts and having to heat their house with wood and other means. So anyhow, that's something to keep an eye on. Russia's always going after the Ukrainian power grid. It could take it down if it wanted. The next piece on here, I'm not sure if I've shared with this you guys before. It's from the New York Times. Typically, I rarely post stuff from the New York Times, but this was from a month or two ago. This is on Russian capabilities in space. They're a satellite that they launch, and they have the ability to launch nuclear EMP satellites. We have no way to stop them. So it's actually a really good article with lots of pretty good graphics. There wasn't a whole lot in here I disagreed with, which is really rare with the New York Times. But I'm going to share that. It talks a lot about weaponizing space. This goes back to my time at the EDTF all the way back in 2000, the first year I was there with General Quast, who was looking to be stepped into the role at Space Force. Unfortunately, it wasn't given to him, but he had a lot to say about capabilities in space that ourselves and China and Russia have, that the American people have no idea the capabilities that we have in that regard. So there's a lot of things we just don't know, right? So one of the things I will touch on real quick, I've been getting lots of emails on the drone thing that was happening here more like a couple months ago. I don't have any major inside information. I believe personally from the people that I've talked to inside the government, the people that I talk to that I have access to, and that may not be in perfect positions to know exactly, but I believe that there was probably a dirty bomb type scare, or it had to do with some stuff going on at the ports. And those drones, those swarming drones, is a type of drone that looks for nuclear weapons, or somehow can see radiation or whatever. So I believe that's a likely plausible explanation. The round ones that don't make any noise, that move really fast and change direction really fast, I don't know. So that's all conjecture at this point. To me, I don't know if you watched the Sean Ryan interview that he recently had here after the truck blew up in front of Trump Tower there. The guy that was a communication with the guy that was in the truck. I think that I would not, my point being is, I would not be surprised if Area 51, DARPA, China, the US, top secret stuff have found some anti-gravitational type of propulsion. Then they're just trolling people and they're just testing it at this point. So that would not shock me. Again, you have to sift through some of the fake videos with the true videos. We've had a lot of videos from like jet fighter pilots and airline pilots, and it's kind of hard to deny that these things actually exist. What they are, we're not really sure. So that would be my best guess. It's some kind of new type of advancement. If you remember, I remember as a kid in the 90s, I was a teenager. I remember when it finally broke about the SR-71 Blackbird. And I remember that coming out, and I remember seeing pictures of it. And it was like something, to me, it looked like an X-Wing fighter, something out of Star Wars. And it was like, holy cow, like this is amazing. This supersonic plane that nobody knew, it was top secret. That thing had been flying around the country since the 60s. The anti-radar technology, the supersonic capabilities of the SR-71 Blackbird that we didn't find out for like 30 years, 20-something years, 30 years, and nobody even knew that thing was floating around. So, especially today, which we're going to get into in a second with AI, like a lot of the advanced technology that's out there, I would not be shocked if Russia and the US have capabilities that we just aren't aware of yet. So that wouldn't shock me at all. So we'll get to a silly one before we get back into the serious stuff. So here's an article from the New York Post yesterday, or a couple days ago. Inside $300 million members only. Luxury doomsday bunker with AI-powered medical suites and indoor pools. Oh my goodness. like whoever's bankrolling this, I know the guy that's running the program. The guy builds good stuff. You know, he builds a lot of military bunkers. So I'm not talking about the organization that's safe, that's building this, but whoever's bankrolling this and thinks it's a good idea, it's just tragic. Like they never followed the guy that did the missile silos out in Kansas and went on CNN and went on the New York Post and New York Times and did all this stuff and promoted it and was selling, you know, $2 million apartments. I have clients that have bought those apartments before. So, you know, without thinking it through that, hey, if you have to sell, I think these ones are, I think one of them was like $20 million for a single membership. I mean, they're going for big, 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 big money to be part of this massive bunker they're getting ready to build. They're telling you exactly where they're building it outside of Washington, D.C. Like the idea that, you know, and, you know, talks about how they're going to have the best security. I mean, time and opportunity. You have to have fresh air down in that vault, down in that underground bunker. You know, I forget how many people they're building this for, how many client families. So you got all these rich people that have more money than I'm not going to say sense, because they're obviously smart if they're that wealthy and they've done things right. But it's just not an area they have a lot of expertise in. And they're dropping tons of money on these bunkers that are public information that everybody knows where they're at. If you don't think there's a bunch of blue collar rednecks with some cutting torches and, you know, D6 Caterpillar and some plans to come in there and rip the doors off that thing and cover your air vents, and what, you got 5 or 6 security guys in there, you're just, I feel bad. Like I want to help these people. I want to help them from themselves to not spend this kind of money. I mean, it looks really cool, and they're like, oh, you can come and visit, and it's going to have indoor pools, and, you know, you have a bunch of these AI photos they're making. You know, it is what it is. But apparently the wealthy there's enough people that are buying into this, put a deposit down, that they're going to, looks like it's moving forward. But, oh, well, that's on them. So, yeah, there's a big $300 million bunker that's being built in Virginia, just outside of D.C., and I guess they're pressing forward with that. All right, back to the stories at hand. These are kind of connected. We'll go to the first one. AI will supercharge cyber weapons with